On the field, in the broadcast booth, Ron Johnson is Minnesota sports. One-of-a-kind opinions, big-name guests, the teams you care about every day. It's the Ron Johnson Show, part of Locked On Sports Minnesota, and it starts now.
Welcome to the Ron Johnson Show, and I'm your host, Ron Johnson. Into today's episode, I was going to wear my Santa hat. I couldn't decide what to do. I woke up early on purpose, but I didn't even need an alarm. Like, today is one of those days you wake up and you're like, man, it's going to be a good day. It's the NFL draft day. I wish I could do the gritty, but you can't see my feet. Check it out later. I'll probably do it on Twitter at the US Bank Stadium or something. But it's draft day. I don't know if anybody is as excited as I am, other than the guys that are about to become millionaires today, instant millionaires the minute their name is called and they, put their name on that piece of paper, as long as they don't get in any trouble before the season starts. Also, of course, we have the Daily 3. And then we have a special guest joining us today. That's Jordan Reid from ESPN. He's one of the top draft analysts. He's a newcomer to their group, but he's worked his way up the ranks very fast. Former college quarterback, knows a ton about the draft, has followed it for years, and now he's gotten a big payoff at ESPN. He's going to join us in the second segment, has some good stuff to say about who the Vikings are going to draft. We're going to kind of put him under the gun. Give us some picks that you think the Vikings are going to do. And he works for ESPN, so clearly he's not going to make stuff up. The kid knows what he's talking about. He has some insider stuff, Adam Schefter, And then, of course, like I said, the Daily 3 questions, 3 minutes. As we bring Sam Ekstrom in, it's draft day, Sam. I got a gift yesterday. I got home, got a gift delivered by the Baltimore Ravens. Not going to lie, when I left Baltimore, I was bitter. Like, you get fired. I got fired from the Ravens. I ended up going to the Bears, but I got fired. But the thing I realized is, one, that's a totally different thing. That's business. Has nothing to do with the fact that they drafted me back in 2002. So I'm very grateful of that in the 4th round. Now I look at guys getting drafted. Then at the time I felt snubbed. I wasn't happy. I was 9th overall receiver taken, which in today's draft, that's probably 2nd, 3rd round. Our year, it was a quarterback year. We had Joey Harrington. We had David Carr. Not Derek, David. But the gift was, and you can go on my Instagram and see it, that's 3 Ron Johnson on Instagram. It's all of the names of the players that have played for the Ravens in the draft picks. And so it's kind of cool. So my name's on there in the middle of the field, and I kind of did a zoom out. And once I zoom out away from my name, every single name has made up the Baltimore Ravens field. And it's the field, and it has the emblem in the middle. The artist, Daniel Duffy, he's at a site called Art of Words. Ridiculous. Like, the dude is good. He literally hand wrote all of our names and turned it into the football field, using the logo, using everything. It's crazy good. So I'm going to get that framed, and at some point bring it in for the show, or put it up or post it on Instagram or something. But it's going to be up later. It's on Instagram now, but it'll be up at some point on Twitter. But Sam, let's jump into this, man. You wanted to do a mock draft, and that gift from the Ravens got me going. The Vikings gave me a cooler. I'm giving it away to a lucky fan today. He's going to get 4 tickets to the NFL draft party at US Bank Stadium, courtesy of myself and Locked On Sports. So they had to be following Locked On Sports Minnesota on Twitter, and they had to be following me. And then I had to pick somebody who gave me the best answer. And the best answer, honestly, was a guy that was kind of just genuine about it. He said, look, if Derek Stingley's there, take him. If not, drop back. And I think we all talked ourselves in the fact that Derek Stingley Jr. was going to be like easy. Like, oh, he's there. Let's take him. He's hurt. Nobody wants him. This kid now, they're saying he might not make it past the Houston Texans. So, this is the thing about the draft. You never know. Everybody's mock draft had Derek Stingley like it was easy. Oh, Derek Stingley to the Vikings. He's hurt. Nobody wants him. Liz Franks, blah, blah. Man, this kid is not going to make it past 5 or 7, they're saying now. And so I did a bunch of mock drafts last night. I bullied some teams into trading with me. I put 5 up on Twitter. It's not easy to get Derek Stingley anymore in these drafts. I picked a guy. We'll find out later as we start our mock draft who I picked. I think this is a guy they're going to have to go in the way they're going to have to do it. So, Sam, how excited are you? Like, did you wake up earlier than your kids today?
No, my kids beat me every single morning, bar none. I guarantee that. I'm excited to see what Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah does, and more so the 3-day period. I want to see how he approaches Friday, Saturday, or Thursday, Friday, Saturday, what positions he values, whether he values the trade up or the trade back, and just to see how he approaches it, because I feel like with Rick Spielman, we kind of learned his patterns, and it got a little bit stale by the end. I want to get some fresh ideas, a fresh view on this thing. So I'm excited about tonight because it's fun to see where these guys land that we've talked about for months, but more so I'm excited to see who the Vikings end up with at the end of Saturday and then to figure out where all those pieces fit. That's going to be an awesome time.
Well, you know the tune is do-do-do, do-do-do. That means the pick is in. So, Sam, let's get this mock draft started.
All right, so I'm going to simulate the first 11 picks on the PFF mock draft simulator. I'm going to set up the Vikings pick for you at number 12. I'll give you the options. I'm going to click the button right now. Start draft. The picks are in. All right, so here's what's happened above the Vikings. Travon Walker, no surprise. Aiden Hutchinson. Stingley at number 3 to the Texans. So Stingley is gone. Kayvon Thibodeau, number 4. Ahmad Sauce Gardner, number 5. Charles Cross, the tackle, number 6. Kyle Hamilton to the Giants, number 7. Ikem Ekwonu, number 8 to the Falcons. Evan Neal to the Crimson Tide to the Seahawks from the Crimson Tide. That's pick number 9. Number 10, Ron, Garrett Wilson, the wide receiver, and Jameson Williams, number 11. So that leaves the Vikings at number 12 with the following options for you, Ron, to choose from. You've got George Karlaftis, the edge rusher from Purdue. You've got Trent McDuffie, corner from Washington. You've got Drake London, the receiver from USC. Tyler Linderbaum, center from Iowa. Devin Lloyd, the linebacker from Utah. Shall I continue, or do you think you have your choice out of those 5?
I know who I have my choice out of those guys.
Jordan Davis.
This is what I want to
Jordan
do.
Davis is there.
Yep, this is what I want to do. Are you able to force a trade? You don't have to force it. They're going to take it. They're going to take it because I've done this one. So trade with the Steelers.
Okay, what are we giving up? Or what are we asking
we're going to give up 12. So we're going to take their 20. Their 46 and their third-round pick.
52, their second-round pick, and 84?
Yep.
Okay.
Correct. And we're going to give them 12 and our third round. So they're going to move up in the third. We're going to move up in the first, but we're going to get a second-round pick.
All right. I'm going to
offer.
offer.
Accept that.
If not, I'll just force it. Trade accepted. Trade accepted.
Like
all right.
It's a good trade.
All right. Let's resume.
Let's resume.
So what quarterback do you think they would have taken? I guess we'll find out. We'll find out what happens. The Steelers took Drake London. They didn't even take a quarterback. The Texans took George Karlaftis. Ravens, Jermaine Johnson. Eagles, Devin Lloyd. Saints, Trent McDuffie. Chargers, Devontae Wyatt. Eagles, Andrew Booth Jr. Saints, Jordan Davis. Leaving the Vikings with Tyler Linderbaum, Bernard
I don't even need
Ryman.
you to tell me who it is. I know who's there. Kyer Elam. Nope, Kyer Elam out of Florida. Cornerback, 6'2". He's young. He fits the bill. Now, here's the write-up, because I have all the corners printed up. So I got Kyer, I got Stingley, I got Kobe Bryant. Here's the write-up on Kobe Bryant or Kyer Elam, and this is why I like him. His strengths: he's long, he's physical, he's quick. He can flip his hips and get out of breaks in short areas. That sounds like Xavier Rhodes. Like literally. Consistently makes plays on the ball. That's better than Xavier Rhodes. Xavier Rhodes was great, but he barely could pick balls off. Not only does he understand leverage, he does a good job of not letting receivers get across his face. Why is that important? Because he's probably going to be in some kind of zone coverage a lot if you have Patrick Peterson on the other side. He has a good recovery ability. He can beat you off the snap of the ball. He's very fast, stays in phase. Stays in phase, people just means his hips and his body are kind of aligned. He doesn't get overextended. He doesn't get crazy. Now, here's his weakness, and this is easy. Sometimes gets handsy. Who do we remember that was handsy? Who did Mike Zimmer put boxing gloves on? Xavier Rhodes. Handsy. Despite his frame, needs to do a better job getting off wide receiver blocks. Getting off blocks is easy. That's just a man thing. You're going to man up at some point, and a guy's going to teach you how to get physical and get off blocks. At the end of the day, it's not the end of the world that he can't get off blocks. That's his weakness. For as physical as he is throughout the route, physically in the run game is not something Elam is comfortable with yet. He's young. He's at Florida. You're having to go up against Alabama running backs who are built like Ford trucks. This kid is going to grow. He's going to get stronger. He's going to get better. But at 6'2", he almost has a 90 rating, draft rating from the NFL. That means he's a long-term starter. He can learn from Patrick Peterson. He led the SEC in passes, in broken up passes in 2020. So you have to understand this kid is the guy. We draft him, and now from there, there's other guys left. You're going to be able to get a Josh Paschal out of Kentucky, edge rusher, has played 252 snaps at edge. He played some snaps at linebacker. He played some snaps at 5 technique, 3 technique. So he's a move guy that in Ed Donatel's defense, and I got this from Jordan Reid, he's a guy that we could use. So I'm high up on that pick. So that's the pick that could be there that we just took from the Steelers in the second round. Now we can go get a Paschal in the second round, and we still have another pick in the second round as well. So with 2 second-round picks, you just got a ton of draft capital. You'll be able to get Elam. You probably can get Kobe Bryant as another cornerback to add to your group, who's a chance to start at an 80 grade from the NFL. That's why I'm going with that pick. I like Kaiir Elam. I like his size. I think his length and his ability to play press and cover 2 and cover 2 man. Like they said, he can stay with guys. He gets handsy, but in cover 2, getting handsy is not bad early on because you do have help over the top. So that's my pick. I think that's the one.
I like that Elam's got more size than a lot of the corners in this first round, like Stingley, McCreary, Cam Taylor-Britt. A lot of those higher up cornerbacks are on the shorter side, 5'10", 5'11", maybe 6 feet. So yep. Kaiir Elam, 6'2", and I mean, let's not bury this either. 4.39 40. He's got serious speed. He played in the SEC. That's a good prospect right there. So with that at 20, plus adding a second, I can tell you thought about this, Ron. I know you were up late doing these mocks on the simulator. I know what you were up to last night.
I did like 10 of them last night. I'm trying to force. I didn't force any trades. I will say that. I kept messing around with the trades because it only gives you 5 attempts to try to trade, so I didn't want to screw it up. So I'm messing around with capital. What will teams take? What are teams jumping up for? It was kind of good to see that the Steelers are looking at receiver. But again, this is a freaking simulator. We don't know what these GMs are thinking and what they really want. But that, in my opinion, I feel like that could happen. The Vikings could still get a good corner. They can actually grab another second round pick, which we've seen a ton of talent in the second round. And there's a ton of talent in this draft alone in the second round where you could get Josh Paschal. And then also in the second round, the center for Iowa was still there when I did it one time. I got him in my draft in the second round, and then I still got Josh Paschal in the second round as well, back to back. So I took the center first, and then Paschal, because Paschal, I think he's 46. So a lot of times it drops back. So that's what I looked at when I did this. But yeah, no, I'm excited. Up next, we got Jordan Reid. It's going to be fun with Jordan Reid. But first, make sure you check out our daily show on Locked On Sports Minnesota. It's Superior Sports Talk with KARE-11 Sports Director Reggie Wilson and Luke Inman. Here, Reggie and Luke go back and forth about the latest Minnesota sports 5 days a week. Find it on the Locked On Sports Minnesota YouTube channel and wherever you get your podcast feeds. If for those that don't know, didn't follow Jordan, this is a guy that, he just put out clips to kind of start. He would do all these little breakdowns. He would have draft boards. He started climbing the ranks. And now Jordan's big time. I've gotten in the car today probably 4 times, and I've heard Jordan's voice on the radio. This year is kind of an enigma. I don't feel like there's one dominant position. Quarterback doesn't seem to be getting the headlines. There's not a ton of receivers getting headlines. At first, you thought with the kid from Michigan and Hutchinson, both, David Ajobo, you thought, okay, maybe that's going to be the way, but then he gets hurt. What do you make of this where there's not a clear-cut top 10 where everybody kind of really knows where guys are going to be?
Well, that seems to be the case for this year's class, just because over the past 3 years, we knew who the number one pick was eventually going to be, and they were quarterbacks. Whether it was Kyler in 2019, Joe Burrow in 2020, and then last year with Trevor, quarterbacks always drive the interest in the NFL draft. And this year, we just don't really have those quarterbacks at the top this year. And I think that's what is going to make my job really interesting and fun this year, just because of the mystery of this year's draft. And I've always compared the NFL draft to Christmas. There's a new sense of hope for every fan base around the country. And with this draft, nobody knows what's going to happen. It's not just a media perspective, it's also on our end, too, as far as within the league and people of that nature talking to scouting buddies. They don't even know what's going to happen. They don't even know some of the ideas that their general manager could have going into tomorrow. So the mystery really surrounding this draft has really created a lot of intrigue as far as what could happen tomorrow.
Yeah, and it's funny. It's kind of dual purpose for me on this question. You look at the Vikings, and I cover the Vikings, but also cover the Gophers. The Vikings are looking for a possible edge rusher. I saw you put the kid out of Kentucky in your mock draft, Josh. And, I mean, I watched some of the highlights and some of the clips and some of the play. I mean, this kid is a freak. He's a freak of nature. But then there's also Boye Mafe out of Minnesota. He just have to drive right up the road down to Egan for training camp. So, but now, some people have him ranked in like the top 30. I don't know if he goes that high, but could you see him being a fit or an opportunity to be with the Vikings?
Yeah, I think so. Just from a style standpoint, and then what he brings to the table as far as a defensive end, I think he's exactly what they're looking for. Now, there are some things as far as some attributes and some characteristics that it would go against a little bit of what Kwesi has been accustomed to, as far
Mhm.
as some of the values and then some of the philosophies he has been brought up under. So he's a disciple of Andrew Berry. So something that is very prevalent in the Andrew Berry philosophy is age. So whenever you're talking about some younger prospects, I think that's what Kwesi is going to target with Boy Mafe probably being a 24-year-old rookie. That would go against a little bit of what Kwesi was brought up in. So whenever I'm targeting some guys for the Vikings, look for some guys that are in that 20 to 21-year-old range, just because that's just what Kwesi was brought under. The Cleveland Browns have never drafted anybody that was 23 years old or older on
Oh, wow.
draft day. So I think that's something that he could bring over. And the biggest reason for that is just from a financial standpoint. And I'll use Justin Jefferson and Danielle Hunter for an example. Both of those guys were 20 years old when they were drafted. They're going to sign their next big contract at 24 years old, which Danielle already did. Danielle's going to get another lucrative deal probably when he turns or close to being 30 years old. So as opposed to a rookie like Boye Mafe, let's say he does get the fifth-year option extended. Now you're talking about him signing his second contract at 30 years old. So just from a financial standpoint, that's why I think Kwesi is going to bring over some of those age, what they're called are guardrails, or some of the things that he brought over philosophical from Andrew Berry. Excuse me. I think that's something that I expect Kwesi to do when they're targeting some of these younger draft prospects.
And what did you like about Josh Paschal? I think is how you say his name, out of Kentucky.
Pascal.
Pascal. That's what I
Yeah.
thought. Okay. What did you
Yeah.
like about him?
So just the versatility. I mean, sometimes you'll see him playing one technique. The next play he'll be a three, and then the next play he'll be head up in a 4-eye or a four technique. So just the versatility. I think that's what is going to be what we see accustomed to in Ed Donatel's defense, as
Mhm.
far as just moving these guys all over the place. And I think he's going to move Dalvin Tomlinson, Harrison Phillips, and we know he's going to move around za'darius and Danielle Hunter all over the place. I think with Josh Pascal, there's so many different positions that he can play. The character is off of the charts, and then he's so disruptive. He has very strong hands. He's very reliable as a run defender. I mean, he can stand firm at the point of attack, but he also can penetrate as a pass rusher too. So as you go down the list, he's just checking box after box after box. And I just think it would be a really good fit in this new 3-4 defense that they want to install.
And when you look at Kevin O'Connell in the Rams, a lot of people are saying receiver. But I don't know if I would personally. I don't know if I would go at 12 as a receiver. If you drop back to 20, you gain another pick somewhere. Maybe that's viable if you can trade with the Steelers. But when you think about receiver, I like Christian Watson out of NDSU, and the reason is because one, he's 6'4", he ran a fast 40. He's a kid. I think that they don't have that style of a guy at 6'4". You got Justin Jefferson and Thielen, who are, they do different unique things, but this kid can take the top off, but he's also a true tall, long body receiver that can go deep. But what receiver could you see Kevin O'Connell going after?
So the one that I have earmarked, and I'll just go over the situation. And with the Vikings, I think it's going to be an edge rusher or a cornerback at 12. But if we're talking about worst case scenario, Sauce is off the board, Stingley's off the board, and then some of these edge rushers are gone, including Jermaine Johnson II. So let's
Mhm.
say that one player that I do like a lot at 12, if they want to take a wide receiver, is Jameson Williams from Alabama. I think he just brings a different element to the game. And you talk about the big body receiver, but outside of Justin Jefferson, the Vikings don't have that three-level threat that
True.
can just bring that explosive play to the table, like where you have a 1 or 2 play drive and you're off of the field. And the Vikings offense was plenty explosive last year, but I think they need to alleviate some of that pressure off of Justin Jefferson. Luckily, KJ Osborne was able to unlock the next stage of his development, but I think he's more so a number 3 or number 4 wide receiver. But when you're talking about a potential succession plan to Adam Thielen, who is getting up there in age, and I know they restructured the contract, he's probably going to be on the team for 2 more years, but you don't have to rush Jameson Williams back from the ACL. You can get Thielen back into the swing of things from his injury. You can keep using Osborne. You have Amir Smith-Marset. BC Johnson will be back too. So there's a situation of where if you want to redshirt Jameson Williams, you can. If you want to bring him back midseason, you can. But I just think he unlocks a different type of element to the passing game, and then also the deeper portions of the field that the Vikings don't have. And then also, Kevin O'Connell loves to stay in 11 personnel, those 3 wide receivers on the field. So I think when you're having the guard or you're having the game plan for Jameson Williams, Justin Jefferson, and Adam Thielen, along with Irv Smith, who will be back, that's going to cause a lot of people a lot of headaches.
And when you look at these quarterbacks, so the Vikings tried Kellen Mond. Not sure that's going to be the answer ever, but I don't know. I'm not a quarterback, but he just looks stiff to me. He looks real robotic to me. He doesn't look completely comfortable. And maybe that was Kubiak's offense that maybe he just could not understand or did not feel comfortable in. Kevin O'Connell has spoken not highly of him, but respectful of him, unlike Mike Zimmer. What do you think, or where could a quarterback to the Vikings possibly fall? Because I know there's Carson Strong out of Nevada. His teammate, tight end Cole Turner out of Nevada, could possibly somebody. I know you picked him, possibly coming to the Vikings as another tight end. I cover both those guys on FS1, so I've seen them, and they are great. But what quarterback could possibly come to the Vikings?
I don't expect them to take one on day 1 or day 2, honestly,
Mm-hmm.
just because they have Kellen, they signed back Sean Mannion, and then, of
Yep.
course, Kirk is going to be QB1 as long as he is here. So I don't expect them to take one early or day 1 or day 2. But one I did, I think he would be a pretty good fit for them, is Jack Cohn from Notre
Mm-hmm.
Dame. He came over from Wisconsin. Super smart, just a natural born leader, very calm, cool, and collected. I was able to see him out in Vegas at the East West Shrine game, and I thought he was one of the better options there, along with some other guys that they could have some interest in, like Brock Purdy from Iowa State, Skylar Thompson from Kansas State. But I thought the best of the bunch there was Jack Cohn.
Okay. And then last one, corner seems like the answer, but we're talking about succession plans. Harrison Smith, another guy getting older. What safety, if they do decide, is there a safety worth it at 12?
It's Kyle Hamilton, without question. I think if he's there at 12, I think you have to take him just because he's the number 4 overall player for me. And then a smart approach has always been, to me, if I was a GM, is to take the best player available. You can't just sit there and draft for need, just because that's when you just reach on some guys. But if you're
Mhm.
you're sticking to your board, you stay BPA, and you take the best player available that's there. If Kyle Hamilton is there for you at 12, I think you have to take him. And I like Cam Bynum. I like what he was able to show in Harrison Smith's absence, with Harry getting a little bit older too. But with Kyle Hamilton, there's so many different hats that he can wear on the defense. He can play strong safety, he can play free, he can play linebacker, you can blitz him up the middle or off of the edge. There's so many different things that you can do with him. It's not necessarily a situation of where the Vikings don't have any room at strong safety or free safety. I think that they do, just because of just how versatile his skill set is as a whole.
Well, I want to thank Jordan Reid for joining me on the Ron Johnson Show. Up next, we're going to have the Daily 3. That's 3 questions, 3 minutes. Stick around. And now it's time on the Ron Johnson Show for the Daily 3. That's 3 questions, 3 minutes. Sam, take it away.
I don't want your kind of draft high to wear off, Ron. I think it'd be really sad if you walked out of this night feeling gloomy. But is there an outcome tonight for the Vikings that would leave you downtrodden? Would you be upset with any result coming out of this first round?
Well, yeah, I mean, we're doing the show. We're doing the pregame show tonight on Fox 9, and then we're going to head over and finish out the night on Vikings Twitter and their streaming platforms, Facebook, wherever you find it. We're going to do a breakdown of the first round of the draft. I would be completely defeated or disappointed if we don't even make a pick in the first round, whether it's somebody forgot to turn the card in and we have the old, like, Vikings have to miss their pick and now they're dropping back to 13 now. Not to say the guy they want anyway is going to get taken at 12. I feel like the guy they want still going to be there at 20 even. But yeah, if they somehow trade out and try to like mass a bunch of second and third round picks and next year's first round picks, and I get the next round because people keep bringing this up about next year's first round. They think it's going to be better and more talented, more quarterback latent possibly when you look at Alabama's quarterback and a couple other guys in this college class, running backs as well in this college class for next year. Guys like Mo Ibrahim and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I'd be defeated if they did not pick in the first round. Like if they traded out of the first round because they had an attitude of, oh, the guy we wanted, he went too high, which was Stingley Jr. Hamilton went high. Because again, everybody's like, Hamilton's going to be there 12. He's possibly going in the top 10. So if any of those guys fall to 12, like Justin Jefferson fell to 22, you take it. But yeah, I'd be a little bit down if they somehow trade out of. So there's not a lot that can get me down besides they trade out of the first round. Or if they do some weird thing and pick like a kicker or a punter in the first round, a la Janikowski. I don't think there's a guy out there like that right now. I know the Vikings fans would love a perfect Janikowski type kicker or a Matt Stover or a Vinatieri. You know, I know they want that kind of guy, but there's nobody out there right now in the first round worth it. So in that aspect of the draft, I'd definitely be disappointed they took a kicker or punter. But other than that, I'm excited about this. I've been waiting on this. It's a lot of work to do this weekend. We're working all the way up to Sunday night. I think our last show Sunday night is at 10:30 p.m. So it's going to be a long weekend. I already got my Starbucks gift card, so I'm looking forward to that, and my Caribou gift card. I'm an equal opportunity NIL spinner. So looking forward to going to Starbucks and Caribou to keep me energized. But other than that, man, like I wouldn't be disappointed in anything else. Whoever they draft, I think, defensive line, if it's Jordan Davis, if they can get Stingley, if they can get Kyer Elam, I think the way this team already has the pieces in place, it's just like that piece of that puzzle piece you're looking around the house for. It doesn't really matter because the puzzle's done, but it will help complete the puzzle.
So we just did a simulation where we got through 20 picks and there were not any quarterbacks taken. I don't know if that's how it really plays out, but the over-under, the official over-under on quarterbacks in the first round, 2.5. So if you were placing a bet down, Ron, are you going over or under that number?
Oh, that's tough. See, because the problem is once one comes off, then it's a domino effect, and then other guys scramble. I'm going to go over. I'm going to say 3. I think 3 quarterbacks in the first round is a safe bet. You look at Pickett, you look at Willis. I get Sam Howell, I guess, but he's more of a runner than a passer. So, man, I just talked myself back into 2. Like it is a tough one because when you're looking at these guys, and I printed it out for quarterbacks. Of course, they're at the back because I don't need a quarterback at all. But you got Malik Willis, you got Kenny Pickett, Matt Corral. That's the one I was thinking of. Matt Corral or the Ole Miss. You know what? I'm going to go with the under, actually. I just talked myself out of it. I'm going under. I'm going to go 2. I think 2-1. Kenny Pickett, Willis, I think are the only 2 kind of first-round locks. Matt Corral, Desmond Ridder, Sam Howell, definitely second-round picks. The only way they end up in the first, again, like I said, if somebody panics. If somebody picks a guy and panics. But in my mocks, I took Carson Strong in 1. I took Jack Cohn in 1, but they told me that was a terrible pick. You can go 3 Ron Johnson on Twitter. You can look at all 5 of my mock drafts from last night. They told me Jack Cohn's an F. Don't pick him in the 6th, 7th round. So I'm going back to my Carson Strong. I was able to get him in the 5th round, I think, one time. And then I also got his teammate Cole Turner as tight end, and they gave me a B for that one. So I think that it's 2 now. I'm going to go 2 because of all the other athletes in this draft. You look at Edge, you look at DN. Like you said, Thibodeau all of a sudden is jumping up there now as one of the top picks. You look at, Booth Jr., who possibly can jump in the first round now. You got Trent McDuffie, who probably can jump in the first round, where, Kayvon Thibodeau was 6. Now they have him going 2nd to the Lions. I mean, It's crazy. Evan Neal was second. Now they have him dropping down to the Seahawks. I mean, you just really don't know where it's going to go. Aiden Hutchinson was the overall one lock. So who knows if that's going to be it? I mean, it's so Derek Stingley now, like I said, is a top 5. Ahmad Gardner still a top 3. Kyle Hamilton's still up there. Garrett Wilson is in the top 10. Tyler Linderbaum from Iowa. Like I said, I was able to get him. No, actually, he was my first round pick at 20 one time. So I got him at 20. I think you did say he was there when I could have just picked. But I did not pick him in that one because I really wanted a corner. But I did on one of my mocks, I did take Tyler Linderbaum because he was still there at 20. I wouldn't be opposed to that, honestly, because we talked about Bradbury and them not extending his 5th-year option. You get Linderbaum, you can put him at center. He's young again, so in the second contract, he's small though, under 300 pounds. But in his zone read, we saw that with Kubiak. You don't need large offensive linemen for this.
Yeah, he's supposed to be one of the most sure thing center prospects in years. I think that the quarterback bet comes down to pick 32. I think it comes down to Detroit with the 32nd pick because they're one of those teams that could easily go QB. Probably not with number 2, but with number 32, I could see that tipping the over versus the under. One more draft question for you here. There are 2 Minnesota native edge rushers. That's pretty rare, and they both could go in the first round. Jermaine Johnson played for Eden Prairie, and Boye Mafe from Hopkins. Would you like either one of those prospects in purple?
Yeah, and I printed out the stuff about Boye Mafe. Yes, I would take Boye Mafe. Here's the thing though about Boye Mafe. He reminds me of what's his name? What's the guy's name? Terrell Suggs. He reminds me of Terrell Suggs, undersized though. So in this 3-4 defense, he's a good outside edge rusher. If Jermaine Johnson's there at 12, yeah, you take him. You take him in this defense. Reason being, Danielle Hunter can play the 5. He doesn't always have to play the outside edge rush. He can play the 5. Jermaine Johnson as well can play the 5. So in the 3-4, you only need one linebacker on the edge, which is za'darius. You can move Danielle down in more of a 5 and not a standing up lineman. He can stand up as a backer sometimes outside, but he also can put his hand in the ground and be a 5 technique because he is big enough and strong enough, as well as Jermaine Johnson will be too. So I think it gives Ed Donatel just the ability to move guys around. I mean, we talked about depth. You know, when the Vikings were good, they had 6 to 7 legit D linemen that they can get in and out of there and switch up. That's what they have to get back to. They have to get back to the legit big guys. They have to get back to the legit group of guys where they can switch guys in and out, where when one guy is tired or gets hurt, we're not like, oh my goodness, season's over. So yeah, no, I'm not opposed to either of those two coming to the Vikings. Jermaine Johnson's there at 12, take him. If Boye is there in the second round, like I said, if you make that trade and you get that second round pick, and Boye is there in the third, you for sure take him. But they're saying he's a second round pick right now. So if he's there, I take him as well.
I think Mafe is an awesome prospect. Super, super athletic, good size. He's still pretty young. Jermaine Johnson makes me a little more nervous because he was kind of a one-hit wonder at Florida State. Mm-hmm. He didn't do really anything in Georgia. Kind of needed until like his age 22, 23 season to really break through. He's on the older side. Mm-hmm. Makes me a little nervous, but he's crazy athletic as well. Maybe a little more ready to just step in and have an immediate role. And it's cool that he's local. I mean, Minnesota produces an occasional lineman, you know, like a Frank Ragnow. But not many edge rushers come from Minnesota, and there's 2 of them that are going to be taken on these first 2 days. That's pretty wild.
Yeah, and you know, and that's the thing about, you know, again, with a local kid like Jermaine Johnson, I know when Frank Ragnow got drafted, everybody was trying to go out to Chanhassen and be at his house when the Lions were going to pick him. I know him and his sister, so I see them both at Lifetime Fitness all the time working out. So I was there that whole week watching him. He came in there and shot basketball with us for a little bit. Actually, not a bad athlete for a lineman. Like, he can move with a basketball in his hand. So he is a guy that was athletic. But yeah, Jermaine Johnson, same thing. It's always good to get local kids. I think it helps overall the state of Minnesota. And Boye Mafe for sure helps the Gophers. I'm wearing my Roll the Boat shirt today in honor of those kids getting drafted from Minnesota. You got Boye Mafe. You also have the gigantic Falele. Daniel Falele is going to get drafted as well today. So, good luck to those guys. I remember my experience. It was a fun one.
All right, quick bonus question. What do you think about Las Vegas as the site of the draft?
I watched a lot of tweets this morning of people saying either they woke up and they're ready for the draft, or they still see people that have not gone to sleep And so that's what I think it's fun. It's definitely fun. I'm glad we have not heard anybody like passed out on the strip drunk, nobody getting injured, no fights. I think it's a fun location. I think it's well worth it. Today, tomorrow, Saturday, and Sunday. Mainly today, tomorrow. So because most people that like go there are not going for the draft today. They're going for the party tonight, and then the Friday night party and the Saturday night parties. So it's gonna be absolutely bonkers there at one point this weekend, Friday, Saturday. I'm pretty sure at the pools and all that stuff as guys are getting drafted, because all the sports books and the outdoor pools are going to have the draft on the big screen. So I like it, but I just hope people stay safe, because, that person passed out at the slot machine, and then forget, I got to be on TV in 2 hours. I'm looking forward to seeing some of the disheveled conversations of people, talking about their night. Not today, but tomorrow, because that Thursday after the draft, you got all night to party. There's going to be a ton of sponsored parties there tonight, tons of draft picks that are showing up tonight that are going to have their draft parties. Friday, when you see those reporters and people on TV, that's going to be the true story of what happened on Thursday night, because what happens in Vegas stays on Vegas unless you put it on TV. And then we all get to see the crap storm that happened in Vegas. But no, I like it.
Yeah, I think it's funny because there's so much betting on the draft now, right? So in Vegas, obviously, people are going to be wagering on the draft. So are we going to hear groans from the crowd as Goodell announces the picks, people who lost their bets? That just introduces a whole new dynamic.
Yeah, the first pick is definitely, I think the first 5 you can prop bet, but the first pick for sure is a prop, and just like you said, the 2.5 quarterbacks. So people are waiting to 32, praying with their ticket in their hand, like, please draft a quarterback, Lions. Please just do it for my money. Or opposite, people that bet the under. They're sitting there. So I don't think if you see groans, I think you'll see some people cheering regardless and some people groaning, because there are going to be people that everybody's going to bet weird stuff just to try to. I saw a guy that just bet 5 cents on a parlay. The parlay was that the Bulls-Milwaukee game have to finish 116 to 100. Not the total points. This dude bet the exact amount. 100 to 116. He bet the right score with the right team winning. And then he bet that Giannis, that was the parlay, Giannis would have the first bucket. Dude won 18 grand off 5 cents. He turned a nickel. Trying to, I think that was a song by Jay-Z or somebody, like trying to turn a nickel into $15. This dude turned into 18 grand, or trying to make a nickel out of 15. But yeah, who that was a song. Somebody's going to find that. Tweet that out when you find that song. But he turned a nickel into 18 grand with the parlay. So I'm looking forward to some of these parlays from the draft that people are going to try to make. Why not? It's 5 cents. You get lucky, you win. Great. Somebody said that was a Back to the Future bet. I believe it, because I watched Back to the Future yesterday. It was randomly on TNT before the basketball game started. And I truly believe that was somebody with Michael J. Fox in the DeLorean, and they made a good bet. But I want to thank you guys for joining us today on the Ron Johnson Show. Jordan Reid, of course, has some great stuff. You have to go back and watch that if you have not caught his draft analyst, because I think he's right. I think some of his picks are going to be right for the Vikings. I want to thank Sam Ekstrom for joining me today. Of course, always doing a great job. Please subscribe on YouTube to the Locked On Minnesota Sports Group and the Ron Johnson Show. And you can also download, listen, take us wherever you want, wherever you get your podcasts. Have a great day.